Welcome back to Your Life by Design. Thanks for pressing play today. I want to talk about confidence, and I have a smile on my face, and I kind of want to chuckle a little bit because for the longest time, I thought I would be the last person to ever talk to you about confidence. I was someone who never had confidence. Growing up, I just did not feel comfortable in my body. I just didn't think I was confident with anything and really required other people. I really required my confidence to come from other people. I relied heavily on a lot of people to determine like my worth, to determine what I thought about myself. And over the past couple of years, this has been a major shift. And I remember working with my very first like business intuitive coach about a year ago. It was more than a year ago, like a year and a half ago. And she saw in me so much potential in this business that I didn't really see for myself. And I knew I was good at certain things, but I just couldn't see myself really being on a platform talking about it. Like a podcast, like no way, there's no way. And I remember her saying to me, you can borrow my confidence in you until you're able to like have that for yourself. And that meant so much to me that someone saw that potential in me. But my whole point being like like this confidence piece was something did not come natural to me. And a lot of it was the shifts that I had to do and what I had to work on. So I want to talk about how do we get confidence? How does that happen? Like I would imagine like an 18-month-old is pretty confident, like pretty confident to I'm going to just go ahead and do something I'm not supposed to be doing because I'm just really curious and I want to know what it is, right? And you tell that child no, and maybe that toddler will have a meltdown or try to do it again. I mean, the amount of confidence that toddler has, I think there's no filter in that toddler's mind right now that's telling them that they don't have the confidence to do something, right? Unless it's like, you're around strangers, but that comes into like a whole attachment at that age anyways, which is a completely different topic. But so I think with confidence, how we get confidence is through just doing things over and over again. So think about like your first job that you ever had and the first day on that job and how confident you were in that role. And think about if you stayed at that job for a while, like for a few years, and maybe you're still at that job or maybe you left that job, like how confident were you towards the end of that job? And if you were the one who made the deciding factor to walk away from that position, how much confidence did you have to walk away from that position, right? Like where you have confidence in different pockets. But my whole point being confidence comes from experience. It's doing something. So a lot of times we wait until we get confidence to do something, but really it's doing that thing and it gets reflected back to us that we can do it. And this is where we get our confidence. Oh, I'm now more confident in doing this because I've had the experience. I can do this. My husband, for the longest time, never felt comfortable or confident to talk in front of a room of people about business or whatever. And this was years ago. And now like when he goes to the annual convention, he's in a tech industry. When he goes to the annual convention, he's always invited to present, and he will present in a room of hundreds of people. Or he has a podcast now, and he's like, I mean, the amount of confidence that this man exudes the amount of confidence that this man has when he's in this is night and day from a few years ago. And for him, what he heard was someone telling him how introverts are really good networkers because introverts tend to just be quiet and listen, while extroverts tend to do a lot of talking, and he's an introvert through and through. And so that gave him the ability like, oh, I am good at listening. Let's practice this. I'm going to practice, listen, and reflect back to the person what I heard. And then when the people around him were like, oh my gosh, you really heard me, then that gave him confidence to do this. And that just expanded, evolved into like podcasts and presenting and all that stuff. And so it's the experience that you have and the feedback you get from that experience that gives you information about that confidence. So that's one piece. I think another part, for me anyways, how I became more confident is really looking at my gifts and see what I'm really good at and recognizing that and owning that. And I'm going to pull human design into this because this was huge for me. Like, I've mentioned this before on past episodes where I was always like a chatterbug. I was someone who always felt the need to talk and always felt like the need to express my feelings. And sometimes people on the receiving end of that were not happy, or I was called like a motor mouth or someone who just like said things. Like, I remember someone saying to me, I think it was like some sort of joke they wanted to say back to me, and they're like, Karen, just say something random, you're good at that. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, so clearly I don't have anything relevant to say. And that was like this filter. I mean, talk about in the last episode, I talked about what we gave acceptance to, and that becomes like part of our filter. I'm like, holy cow, that became a big one for me, where I'm like, oh, I don't have much to say or anything of relevance to say. And when I looked at human design and I saw that even in that plays big roles in my chart, like in my sun sign or my earth sign, I have what's called the channel of openness that connects the throat center to the solar plexus center. And this is the channel 1222. And this channel is all about speaking your opinion, speaking your emotions, connecting to people through your emotions, having people really hang on to every word and emotionally connect to what you have to say. And I've been told that over and over again, but I never realized the impact that I had on that. And so now what I know to be true now through, again, experience, is that when I have something to say, especially on a podcast or like on Instagram, when there's a bigger reach, I know someone is going to resonate with it. Or if I'm talking to someone, even like a one person, I now feel more confident in articulating what I have to say, because that's what in like transparency, I know that's something I'm really good at. It's just like connecting the words to like my thoughts and expressing that. But I didn't really feel fully confident in that until I saw it laid out in front of me in my human design. Like, oh, that makes so much sense. That's why like I felt the need to express my feelings growing up, why I feel like I do better at speaking my thoughts out instead of sitting in front of a computer and typing it out. And so when you're trying to like get confidence, it's experience, but it's also awareness of what your gifts are. If you do not know what your gifts are, even if you don't even know what your mission is on this lifetime, if you're not sure, if you're not feeling confident to lean into your desires, listen to the last episode about what you gave acceptance to, because I talk a lot about like people judging you when you're leaning into your desires and what that means. But if you feel that you don't feel confident leaning into these desires, or you don't even know what your mission is, it's going to be hard for you to show up confidently. I feel like if we're not confident in our decision and what we do, we were going to fall back on what's comfortable, and what's comfortable is usually a conditioning or programming. It's what's familiar, and that may not be what's in the best interest for us, depending on what that familiarity is. So to wrap this up, it's just another short episode. If you are someone who is wanting to get more confident in whatever, like practice it, step out of your comfort zone, and then that will be reflected back to you. You will get the confidence being reflected back as you work on it and own your craft and get more comfortable. But also, I think this is like a non-negotiable, is to look at your human design and see where your gifts are, so then you can claim that. And as opposed to like you having someone's perception of that, like you're reflecting someone's perception of that because you gave acceptance to someone saying something that you weren't good at it, or you weren't good at something when like that literally was a gift for you. And so you hid it. I know so many people, especially like manifestors, will like human design, the manifesting type, they will hide their gifts because it was like too much for someone, right? And then they gave acceptance to that. And so it's important that you recognize your gifts, so then you know you can like use that as kind of like the way I look at it, like you use that gift as something to propel you to move forward into your desires. And it's easy for you because it's your gift. All right, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.